Firstly, we stand by the people who want fundamental freedoms and democracy. Secondly, we will sanction all those responsible for violence and repression. The people took the peaceful protest to the streets, and the authorities answered with violence, and this cannot be accepted. This is not our statement. I just quoted right now from a statement released by Ursula von der Leyen on August 19, 2020, after the violent protests in Belarus, or I will rephrase that. After the peaceful protests in Belarus that were answered by the Belarusian government with violence. Now my question to Ursula von der Leyen is the following. Why is she silent right now? When people all across Europe who took it to the streets in order to defend and ask for their basic fundamental rights to be respected again by their own governments, is not saying anything. When on the European streets right now, innocent and peaceful Europeans are beaten by police, are mauled by dogs, and you have cavalry here in Brussels that almost ran over peaceful people. I was at few protests, 3 in Brussels, 1 in Amsterdam. I saw 2 protests in Brussels, the one in December, the two of them in December. Peaceful protests where the police, without being provoked, answered with violence. But I was on January 2nd in Amsterdam, in Netherlands, and what I saw over there, I could not believe that in Western Europe, a police department, a government, could treat people the way those people were treated by the police in Amsterdam on January 2nd. And I show you a picture. This is just one out of the many pictures that were released by the media when innocent protesters were mauled by police dogs. The only thing that these people in Amsterdam asked for was not for higher pensions, for higher salaries, for new elections like the one in Belarus. The only thing those people asked for was to have their basic, fundamental human rights respected by their own government, which did not happen. Another thing that shocked me after this inhumane and brutal response of the police in Amsterdam were the veterans of the Dutch army. They came and they created a line of defense between these brutal police forces and the innocent bystanders. And if you look on the images, you will see that the one who got beaten first were the veterans. These people, look, I'm not Dutch. I'm not a citizen of that country. But I have to use this opportunity to thank them for their service. This should be an answer that their own government should give them. These people risk their lives for the life and for the prosperity of their citizens. They did that, in different NATO operations. And they did that on January 2nd. After I came from Amsterdam, I just could not believe it. I've seen what happened in 1989, in December in Romania, when we took it to the streets to fight against communism. We asked back then not only slogans against communism, but we asked and we demanded liberty, freedom. Now, until 1989, 1990, case, the West looked at the East, saying, well, after the Iron Curtain, is this evil empire, as Ronald Reagan used to call USSR. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, we all believed that these values, these humane values, I would say, that made such a great difference between the Western world and the world that was after the Iron Curtain, will prevail. And look where we are right now. From an Iron Curtain handled by the USSR, we live right now in a world that you could easily call it Iron Fist. This is what EU became. People cannot protest anymore. If they peacefully protest, they will be attacked and brutally beaten by the police. Their basic fundamental rights were stripped away from them by their own governments. And the question that we should all ask is, where are we? What is the direction that we will allow this EU to take? Clearly, what we see right now is under the leadership of Ursula von der Leyen, EU is transitioning from democracy to tyranny. I said it before that the difference between democracy and tyranny is simple. When you know everything about your government, that is democracy. When the government knows everything about you, that is tyranny. Because transparency is one of the key elements that makes the difference between democracy and tyranny. But the second thing that makes the difference between democracy and tyranny is the respect for fundamental rights. See, those countries after the Iron Curtain that were influenced by the Marxist philosophy, they all said that people, the citizens, do not have basic fundamental rights. All these rights are actually privileges granted, given by the government. We in the West, we developed this great society where we believed, and we put it in constitutions, in treaties, in conventions, that every person has a unique dignity that must be respected and protected by the government. Liberty, freedom, dignity is not a right, or are not rights granted by the government, but these are natural rights that the governments must protect. And look where we are right now. Macron just said a few days ago that if you're not vaccinated or if you don't have a green certificate, you're not a citizen anymore. You know what that means? That you don't have rights. Francesca just said what is happening in Italy. Imagine those Italian citizens on the islands. If they are not vaccinated or don't have a green certificate, they cannot use mass transportation. These people pretty much are imprisoned on those islands. Do we live in a Europe as an area of freedom, as the treaty says? Or do we accept this EU under the leadership of Ursula von der Leyen to become a prison camp? So this is the reason why we have to congratulate and thank all these people from all these countries in Europe that took it to the streets. It is sad that we have to go on the street and demand the respect for basic fundamental rights, but we don't have any other choice right now. So on January 23rd, there will be a huge protest in Brussels, and I hope that more of the European citizens will be here to demand exactly what we all ask for: freedom, democracy, and liberty. On January 22nd, there will be a protest in Stockholm. I was invited over there, and I will participate to that protest as well. The solution to what is happening right now in Europe, it's simple. It's a civic solution and a political solution. As far as the civic solution, we have to protest and demand from these corrupt governments and tyrannical governments that our rights be restored. As far as the political solution, I really hope that all the EU citizens woke up and they should not ever, ever again vote in any office, any candidate and any party who supported the abusive measures that we all face with right now in Europe. Thank you.